Hi families, my name is Annie Monckwire and I will be teaching your son or daughter's honors biology class. Welcome to Open House 2020 style. Thanks for watching. First let me start off by telling you a little bit about myself. This is my 16th year here at Cedarburg High School. I started my career here and I hope to spend it all at CHS. I've taught a number of courses over the year. This year I'm teaching, in addition to honors biology, astronomy, zoology, botany, and geology. So a little bit about my background. I grew up in Wauwatosa and I went to UW-Madison for my undergrad. My degrees are in zoology and biological aspects of conservation. I also got a certificate in environmental studies. While I was at Madison, I was considering going into veterinary school, so that afforded me the opportunity to take a wider breadth of courses than I would have taken had I just majored in zoology and conservation. After graduating, I decided that what I really wanted to do was be a teacher, and so I went back to school to get certified to teach at UW Milwaukee, and I just have a thesis to finish up before I'll have my master's in curriculum and instruction. It's been that way for a while, so I'm not sure that will happen anytime soon, though. If you need to contact me throughout the year, email is by far the best strategy. However, if you are more of a phone person, that can work too. So, a little bit about the course. All freshmen have to take on either honors bio or regular bio. They both have the same general content. However, the pace of honors bio is a little bit different, which allows us to either go deeper into some context or have different lab opportunities. It's also structured a little bit differently. The content is delivered differently. In honors bio, there's more inquiry and student-led thought and pacing, whereas in regular bio, there's a lot more spoon feeding to students. Another important thing to know about honors biology is something called college readiness skills. It's a focus of the course, and it refers to the kinds of things that are assessed on the ACT. And it's not important, not because we want students to do well on the ACT, which obviously we do, but because those are the skills that colleges have identified as what they want their kids to come into college with. Those are, of course, also the skills that make a person scientifically literate. Those are things like evaluating data, evaluating scientific experiments, interpreting graphs, and things like that. Colleges can teach students the metabolic pathways in an organism, but they're not going to spend time on that basic scientific skill. So we are in honors bio. You'll see assignments designated as CRS in the gradebook, and if you're wondering what that is, that's what that designation indicates. It's also important to note that honors bio is a fairly rigorous course. Biology in general is one of the first truly rigorous courses that students have had, and that's because biology poses a number of challenges. In addition to being a new thing for students, there's also a large amount of vocabulary, as much as they would have in foreign language, but it's very rarely about the vocabulary. The vocabulary is only a means to discuss the content. Additional challenges just come from the fact that there's a lot of content, some of which are completely new topics because they weren't addressed at younger ages because they weren't age appropriate. And now that students are in high school and have developed a little bit more, they now can handle things like molecular genetics, which wouldn't have been the case in prior years. So it's really important that students develop some study skills. I find that's especially the case with honors bio because in the past they may not have needed to study very much for science. And so as students study, it's really, really important that they engage in the material rather than just reviewing or reading over the notes. For most people, that's not a very effective way to study, so they really need to find a way that works for them. There's a whole bunch of suggestions on the homepage of the course Canvas page. But the overall gist is that they should be engaging with the material in some way so that either they're being quizzed by a family member, they're explaining it to somebody, they're making flow charts, but they're interacting with the material that's not just reading it over. To that end, the biology classes, regular and honors, have decided that we're going to have daily quizzes during the unit to encourage students to regularly review the material that we're learning during the unit. 2020 has a lot of unique challenges. In addition to not being able to do our typical labs because kids can't touch each other, can't work closely with one another, can't even touch the same supplies, and some of our students aren't even in the building, we also have the challenge that we're meeting every day. We have the same number of lessons, but we don't have those 48 hours in between classes for students to process the information. So it's going to feel like we're going through the material very, very quickly because units that might have taken us a month in the past are only going to take us 2 weeks. And most units will probably be shorter than that. So it's really important that students are engaging with the material on a nightly basis to review what they've learned during class. Another thing that's unique to my class is something called flipped classes. This is not something I'm doing because of the pandemic. It's something I've done for the last many years of my teaching. And it's not every unit, it's not every class, but quite often when I lecture, instead of just having students sit passively in class and listen to me lecture and me hearing from the couple of kids that like to raise their hand, frequently I will assign a video of the lecture on a tool called PlayPosit. And the nice thing about that is it stops the video and let students catch up and write at their own pace. And instead of getting feedback from just the few kids that like to raise their hand, all students answer questions as they go. So by the time class starts, I know how they did on various aspects of the lesson. Um, and it allows me to do things in class like give help to students while they're working, or to do activities that we couldn't do because we needed to do lecture. So please be aware that is occurring in Canvas. It may be listed as video notes or PlayPosit. Speaking of Canvas, Canvas is a really great resource, and I've always been a heavy user, obviously, especially this year. On Canvas, students can find a homework calendar. All of their assignments should be listed on that calendar, but it's important that students don't just hang out in the calendar, because only things with due dates will go there, and there are a lot of resources on the actual page themselves. So things like practice tests, copies of the notes and handouts, other resources like articles or videos. I linked a whole bunch of videos for every unit that are alternative things that students can watch if they need it explained a different way. And if you go to YouTube and you search it, you get a whole plethora of videos, and these are ones I picked out as being relatively reliable sources of information. Another really important resource is Virtual Hour. So we have, it's really longer than an hour, but we have especially those last 40 minutes of class where any student, whether they're at home or in another class or in my room, can log on. Obviously, if they're in my room, they probably won't log on, but they can log on to a Google Meet and get help from me. And I can't emphasize enough that students should take that opportunity to get help if they need it. We also, during class time, will frequently have work time, and it's important that students reach out whenever they're feeling confused by the material. That's it. Thanks for watching. As we go through the year, please make sure you reach out if you have any questions or concerns.